the American people stand firm in the faith which has inspired this nation from the beginning. We believe that all men have a right to equal justice under law and equal opportunity to share in the common good. We believe that all men have the right to freedom of thought and expression. We believe that all men are created equal because they are created in the image of God. From this faith, we will not be moved.
Welcome to the Freedom of Thought podcast. I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Owygen. Freedom of Thought is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps, and I thank each and every one of you once and always for downloading and listening to this show. It's a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. Just kind of continuing ongoing things going on locally, which kind of tends to be a national thing because, nationally this is a thing. You know, we have the socialist, radical potential mayor in New York and the socialist radical potential mayor in Minneapolis, Omar Fateh. Apparently, again, thankfully, this isn't like brand new news or anything, but it happened the last few days that the DFL here in Minnesota and Minneapolis has reneged on their endorsement. And of course, our dear friend, basically our arch enemy in a lot of ways here on Freedom of Thought, Illhan Omar, is sounding off and erupting at their party. So Elizabeth Elkind from Fox News, this is on the website, so we'll give her credit, of course, for the article and such. She basically called out the DFL, the Democrats affiliate group of Minnesota, late on Thursday night after it revoked its endorsement on State Senator Omar Fateh. She says it is inexcusable to overturn the DFL endorsement from Omar Fateh. Illhan Omar wrote on X, so like Twitter or whatever, a majority living outside Minneapolis met privately to overturn the will of Minneapolis delegates who volunteered, organized, and participated in a months-long DFL process. Unacceptable. So, according to her, it's unacceptable, I guess. But, for the rest of us, we're like thanking them for doing that because if anything, they're doing us a huge favor. Jacob Frey is no angel. Jacob Frey is not a great candidate for mayor of Minneapolis. But versus this alternative, I'll take Jacob Frey any day of the week. Obviously, I don't want a Democrat to be a mayor of Minneapolis, but unfortunately, we really don't have a choice. That's just kind of how it is. And of course, I don't live in Minneapolis. I just live in a very close suburb called Golden Valley. So unfortunately for us, we can't vote. Some of you living in Minneapolis, well, it is what it is there. The progressive House Democrat also led other DFL officials in a letter announcing they strongly condemn the move. So I don't know. Their reasoning apparently was that substantial errors in the process, the Democratic Farmer Labor said. Let's just call them the DFL. It's kind of simpler. I don't know. If anything, again, I think they're doing us a favor, and at the end of the day, I wouldn't be surprised if there's some serious fraud going on here. Obviously, this state is filled with fraud in so many ways, with Tim Walz and such, with some of these other organizations that have made a huge mess. They've just done a terrible job managing money, and it really just kind of feels intentional. Like they're just kind of doing whatever they want with it, and then, where did it go? When it's supposed to be like feeding children or whatever. So the whole thing just reeks of corruption. Always, of course, intimidating people with using the, like, oh, you don't want children to eat, that type of stuff. Whereas at the end of the day, they're just basically taking money from you and not really helping anybody. Or if they are helping people, they're helping them a little bit, but not all that much. And it just reeks of fraud from day one to, well, basically forever. Continuing quote from our dear friend Illhan Omar. Right now, there is a clear tension between the progressive Democrats. Yeah, I just love progressive Democrats who are challenging the status quo and moderate Democrats. Basically, they should just call themselves radical Democrats who are, challenging the moderate ones. It is extremely disheartening that Omar Fateh, the first black mayoral candidate to the DFL endorsed in the last 3 decades, will have his endorsement revoked. Of course, you got to bring up the race part. And you know what? I'm sure there are plenty of black candidates that would be a heck of a lot better, not only for this, the city, the state, or the country, than an Omar Fateh type, honest to God. I'm sure there are quite a few. And, well, at the end of the day, well, too bad. At the end of the day, too bad. If he's deemed as not a worthy candidate, I don't think he should be endorsed by anybody. Of course, Omar is constantly going on and on. Omar herself has not yet made a public endorsement in the race, which is set for November 2025. But, it tells you who she supports. It's pretty obvious. And, well, common sense will tell you who she supports. Put 2 and 2 together, of course. But, of course, we all understand a lot of, like, they always try to play these games, too, as well. Everything's about race. You don't want this type of person in office. You don't want that in office. You don't want this gender in office. It's like, no, it's the policies. I mean, the guy was spouting off some nonsense, some crazy nonsense, crazy minimum wage that's not going to help anybody in any form. Why do you want that? I sure the heck don't. So it's not, like raising minimum wage to the levels they have has not helped anybody. I remember talking about not even that long ago on a previous episode, whereas, not sure what this clicking sound is behind me, but it's distracting a little. But it's not helped anybody. And this is a national matter. This is not just about local Minneapolis and all that. This could be like, this is world-like, really, if anything. And it's leading into biblical times as well. So it's going on, over in Europe and such. But that's a different topic at the moment. Oh, man, it's distracting. As for what's going on locally and talking about raising minimum wage, higher and higher and higher, it's like prices go up, and the consumer, the taxpayer, the person with multiple jobs, that would be you and me, paying rent or paying mortgages, buying a bleeping car, everything costs way the heck more than it should. And it's not like your wages are really matching this radical inflation, especially due to the, price increase of everything. And I mean everything under the sun, be it an apple, anything from an apple to a car to rent an apartment to a mortgage on a home or just the price of a home. People can't afford it, And when you see people walking around asking for donations in this day and age, a lot of people are like, I really don't feel like donating because, every time I do anything, it's like, where's the money for this and where's the money for that? Where's the money for food? Where's the money for rent? Where's the money for gas? Where's the money for car insurance? Where's the money for utilities? And yes, we're all spoiled using our cell phones and such. That's a utility that didn't exist years ago. Cable TV or whatever, or, streaming this, streaming that. Everything comes at a cost. And sometimes you end up having to sacrifice things that maybe you shouldn't have to sacrifice necessarily, because prices going up because of these radical leftists that just want to increase wages for increase the minimum wage when it's not really helping anybody. It's not helping the people at the bottom, and it isn't helping people at the top. It's not helping people in the middle. And ultimately, I think people in the middle tend to come out dead last in everything. We still pay a significant amount of taxes. We also tend to work the hardest. We have the most to lose. We have the least to gain at the end of the day. And quite frankly, it sucks, to be quite honest. So when all this kind of stuff happens, they're really screwing over the middle class. The ultra rich don't really feel it that much. They just raise the price on things and just say, oh, well, too bad, so sad. You know, na boo-boo, basically. And then the poor, well, they don't do a damn, you know, so a lot of them, they just refuse to work. They just stay home all week or work like, you know, 10 hours a week and then get the rest as just like some kind of a monthly check, a bi-weekly check, whatever the heck it is. And it's completely unfair, to be quite honest. And that's kind of what's happening. The middle class has been targeted for years and years and years and years. And people on both sides of the equation understand that, yet they continue to endorse radical craziness when it comes to the progressive left. And it's just sad that common sense never wants to prevail in this country and in this world, this state, this city. It's absolutely heartbreaking that we're stuck in this situation. And if you haven't guessed, and you can hear in the background, thankfully this thing was able to kind of ignite on its own here a bit after being prodded on a teeny bit. Yes, it is a fire pit episode. Locally in the Twin Cities, and probably in several places in the United States, the temperatures have dropped dramatically. The dew point has dropped dramatically. It feels so much better. And it's nice to have north winds coming in without a ton of smoke. For a couple episodes, we were talking about fires in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. They're basically gone. So very nice. Thank God for that. I'm not sure if it was a combination of a lot of rain up there or they just found a way to get the job done, even though it took a lot of effort, I'm sure. And it was probably a combination of rain and such, because there's been rain everywhere. Sometimes up in that area it can get super dry, and I can imagine because there just is less moisture in the air up there, because it's just kind of a cooler part of the country, or a cooler part of the world. Cooler temperatures are there, and, you know, usually it's less dew point and all of that. You know, obviously the lower the dew point is, the lower the temperature, potentially. Not always, but potentially. This thing is really lit up nicely. I'm very happy. It took a while. It was a lot of smoke, and hope that didn't annoy neighbors, but I don't know. If you're the type that complains about a fire pit, like smoke from a fire pit, I think you need to lighten up. I mean, I think it's one of the most wonderful smells ever. So, I don't know, people that don't like fire pit smoke, sorry. Come on, guys and gals. What's going on? So at the end of the day, I don't think there's any other. Oh, is there more quotes here? Yep, there's more quotes. So they're talking about DFL party chairman, that would be locally. Richard Carlbaum did not mention Fateh's politics in a Thursday statement announcing the revocation of his endorsement. But Omar and state representatives have seized on the move as an example of the ongoing divisions within the Democrat Party. And you know what? Good. I hope there are divisions. Go ahead and beat the heck out of each other. You know, I mean, how much division have we had in the Republican Party over the years? Where you got all these stupid rhinos that don't want to help anybody. They don't want to make anything better. They talk about lowering taxes when in the fact they tend to do the exact opposite. George H.W. and W. Bush did pretty much the opposite when they were presidents. And of course, you know, what's a son of a gun that can't even think straight anymore? Mitch McConnell. I mean, if he's a Republican, I got a bridge to sell you. I mean, I guess it says Republican next to his name, but that's about it. He's pretty much a Chinese agent, basically. Thank you very much. Last thing I checked, China's not the United States. It's not America. So America first, please. Thank you very much. That's why they call Joe Biden China Joe. Same reasons. So, as to, but go ahead and battle each other, Democrats, all you want. Illhan Omar's big mouth continues. Chair Richard Carlborn campaigned on uniting the DFL. This decision directly runs counter to that effort, to which we are all committed. The DFL party is a big tent party, and all factions should be fairly represented, not silenced. Yeah, we get the point, Illhan. God. Why do we have to agree with radical points of view all the time? Right? Like, automatically we have to endorse and jump on the back of radical points of view? I'm not sure what to say. She continues, undoubtedly, this appalling decision will leave many voters feeling discouraged and unwelcome for participating in our party. But, you know, kind of like the guy that ran against her a couple times now. What was his name? Like Ramon, I believe? That ran against Illhan Omar. like two elections ago, which wasn't, I believe it's like, was it 4 years ago? He called Illhan Omar a divider. And it's like, yeah, she is. Just look at the way she talks. Anytime she has a disagreement, she just goes on and uses all these big words and wants to like put her, she wants to put her foot down like she's really powerful and she's really something and she's got a lot to say. When at the end of the day, all she's really doing is dividing. And I think she's consumed by hatred to a point of pure insanity, to be quite honest. And the fact that she's in office is heartbreaking for myself and for many of us that live in Minnesota, that live in the United States, frankly, because plenty of people that live in the United States know who she is, and for the wrong reasons, because she does not represent this country at all. And what's truly unfortunate is that she does represent the district I'm in. I've probably mentioned that a few times. Yeah. And I've repeatedly emailed her back just simply saying, you don't represent me, because she doesn't. If she represents me, I got a bridge to sell you. I am not a progressive Democrat. I am not a radical leftist. I'm not. I wouldn't vote for her if she paid me. I wouldn't. Because I'd feel so dirty even, voting for somebody with such anger and hatred and vitriol. And she constantly has it flowing at all times. Again, I guess that point has been made about Illhan Omar. And, well, frankly, I'm happy that that local DFL had the balls to do such a thing. It's hard to believe, actually. It really is. But the question now becomes kind of like what the Joe Souchere locally said, that basically that Jacob Frey needs to grow some balls and basically stand up against crime more than he has. He's done absolutely nothing historically, and that's not helping. And then you have Illhan Omar, who's been a defund the police advocate forever. Whereas Jacob Frey has been kind of more of a go-with-the-flow type. I wouldn't even call Jacob Frey a moderate, but more like middle-of-the-road Democrat. Like, say, if Illhan Omar is like midnight blue, like really dark blue, like super Democrat, and then you have Jacob Frey, like maybe like somebody who moderate would be like a sky blue. I don't even know who to mention in that category much anymore. But like Jacob Frey would be more like a royal blue, really. He's just not midnight blue, where it's so blue you could barely tell anymore. Yeah, that's kind of like the difference. So, I mean, again, if he could grow a pair and, stand up against crime better than he has, maybe he could actually help fix the city of Minneapolis. Because Minneapolis, as many of people out there that act like it's such a great place, it's usually hard left type people just kind of saying it is, even though who knows if they really truly believe it or not. But if he could actually grow a pair, maybe he could help save the city. And so I agree with Joe Souchere locally with that. That's, of course, from Garage Logic. He doesn't need a shout out from me as much as I could use one from him, but odds of that happening are probably, I don't know, less than 0.01%. He doesn't. Yeah, those big guys never give shout outs to anybody, no matter who they are. So, just people are crazy. Sorry, getting messages from unwanted guests at the moment, so that's always fun too. For the most part. Oh boy, the fire's kind of it's hanging in there. The breeze is certainly helping to keep it going. But locally, yes, obviously it's a mess. Internationally, really pleased with what Trump has been doing, how he's been handling things with, Zelensky and Mr. Putin. I think things are being handled pretty well by Donald Trump. Obviously, he's had his ups and downs. The whole Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico thing. Just what's the point? What's the point? I'm not offended by it. I'm not annoyed by it. It's just one of those things. It's not really necessary. You know what I mean? It's not necessary. You don't need to go there. I like your thought process. You think, well, I mean, it's well-meaning about it. It should be about America and not Mexico when it comes to the Gulf. But I don't know. It's been the Gulf of Mexico for as long as most of us can remember. Probably all of us, quite frankly. What's the point? So that's kind of a silly thing. So like little goofy stuff like that. Some of the tariffs might have been a little bit exaggerated, but I don't know. I think he's handling things generally pretty well. There's been a lot of back and forth. Some people thought he was selling out to Ukraine when apparently he's not. So that's the good part. I don't know if he's just trying to wake the guy up to show that, yeah, at least to get him to the table, rather than just be completely, to just have complete animosity, and that way you can never have any peace ever of any kind. Like Zelensky will never even come to the table. And then, of course, Putin, at the same time, might not either in that situation. So hopefully things can continue to come to some type of resolution. It's crazy how long they've been at this war. It's at least 3.5 years now, right? Like February 22, I believe. So it's pretty wild. It's been going on for quite a while, an insane amount of time. What was it? 1.3 million Ukrainians have died. So that's a lot. That's a lot. That's frightening. That's absolutely terrible. So you're hoping and praying that there can be a resolution to this at the end of the day, and that they can be able to work out the right kind of deal here, and all sides will be pleased to a point that we can stop fighting and that the war will end. It's great that we do have a president that wants the war to come to an end, rather than just fund Ukraine, fund Ukraine, fund Ukraine, fund Ukraine, fund Ukraine, which is pretty much what China Joe did. China Joe, Sleepy Joe, what's the other thing? Auto Pen Joe. There have been a million type of things that went on during that presidency. But obviously there's things to not be overly pleased about. And again, silly stuff like the Gulf of Mexico. I think that's unnecessary, the Gulf of America. But I do think overall President Trump has done a pretty good job. I think he's done a pretty good job, and the good news for us is he has plenty of time to keep at it. Unfortunately, the midterms could be a huge thing, one way or another, but if he can bring peace to this whole Ukraine and Russia situation, I got to think that's going to help Trump and the Republicans in midterm much more than it's going to hurt. So, because it's like common sense rather than just throwing money at a problem. Like, if certain things can help heal a cold rather than just mask a cold, instead of just throwing money to mask a cold, why not do the right things to heal a cold? Drink a lot of liquids that can actually push the virus out one way or another, rather than just, and taking a lot of vitamin C or this or that, rather than just, buying remedies, spending a fortune on remedies. Oh, my nose feels a little bit clearer. And then sometimes you even have side effects where your nose actually feels worse. That's kind of what Biden was doing, basically, in trying to help the whole situation over in Ukraine, where I think Trump has done a heck of a lot better job in that front, trying to find the cure rather than just a customer, rather than just giving them money, just throwing money at the problem, which has been a huge problem with the DFL pretty much forever at the end of the day. So I think I made enough points here. It's been kind of all over the place, local, international, national, and such. Happy to be back here on Freedom of Thought. I really appreciate those of you that listen, all three of you, right? If you do like this show, if you do have love for this show, please tell your friends, spread the word a bit. Share it, like how you can copy and share whatever links to your, texting your friends, or share it to your Facebook page or whatever, or on Twitter, X, whatever it's called, Instagram, anything. If you can share the show around, please. And encourage your conservative friends to listen to this show. Your conservative Christian friends. We're going to have some Christian conversation, I'm sure, more in the future like we have in the past. Had some pretty fun ones last fall. I thought that was still, like is God showing us something? Is God telling us something when the lilacs were re-sprouting in October? That was really cool. It was like he's giving us another chance here with Donald Trump. And that was awesome. Truly awesome indeed. It ended up being true. That was kind of what I was feeling, like what that was a sign of, like God's giving us another chance. It was pretty cool. After a crappy spring, it's like you had another chance in fall. It was kind of like the crappy Biden presidency. Now we have another chance with Trump. So that's kind of how I saw that at the end of the day. Oh boy. So please do tell your friends. Please do. And you're more than welcome to send an audio submission in, basically record a conversation or record something like what I'm doing right now, an audio submission. Send it to me at paladinolive@yahoo.com or paladinolive@gmail.com. Either one is welcome, as long as you're able to get it to me, and I will then convert it into an MP3 file thanks to cloudconvert.com. So they are very helpful for converting files from M4As to MP3, so I can put this into the editing software and get it up to you. from Spotify for Podcasters. Thank you so much for listening. Again, tell your friends if you could. Put a nice 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Crush the like button on YouTube if you could. And subscribe to the YouTube page as well. Freedom of Thought 1776. Thank you. All the information should be in the show description. And until next time, thank you and God bless the United States of America.